Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, St. Louis fans? Another session of St. Louis City Therapy. With there's only just two of us today, Mo and Jeremy. So we'll try to keep you all entertained as much as we can. But
Mo, we've had a lot of therapy this year. Who's paying the bill? That's my.
I,
I'm starting to worry about this because we've had a lot of these sessions. Who's paying the
I,
bill?
I think City is probably paying the bills because I haven't gotten an invoice. So you know,
Oh boy.
for
Well,
all
I'll
those
check my
people,
DMs for that.
I think you should too. And for all the other people that have had bad times and are looking for extra things from the team, maybe they are paying for those sessions already. So it's a
Well, you
nice.
know what? Maybe that's just part and parcel of being a fan of a club, right? Like the good and the bad. You take the wins, you take the losses, and you move forward. That's. I think we were just talking about that before we went live, man. It's kind of what being a fan of a club is, right?
Yeah, and I think even before we jump to the whole game and
Yeah.
lost against Chicago, so I think there's a lot of those discussions, online internally and others where um we are in a certain how we'll call that space to where most people are not so happy even after a win, but we don't have that extended celebration because it's one win and then there's a loss and then many more questions. So, from just being a soccer fan for you, just outside of, we'll say, a little bit less city, like if someone were to ask, how it's like to be a soccer fan, how would you describe that?
I mean, it's it's a roller coaster. Look, so I've got this side. I've got a United badge here. I've got some United scarves behind me. I have gone from watching them win a treble to last year fighting arguably their worst season since the 70s and staying just barely out of relegation. It's pain and it's elation. It's the extremes, man, and um it's a commitment, it's a journey, and you get your reward, but you also have to take your bumps. And right now, for the last 2 years, for City fans, we're taking our bumps, as Byron Tim said, paying our dues.
Oh, we sure are. But so yeah, so you like you mentioned, we're 2 years in, right? Um, maybe the way I see it a little bit is like it's still under construction because we're still trying to build the foundation. Looks like yes, we will fail at some of those positions. Some will solidify their positions. How are you feeling about the build up from day one to I think we're at year 5 at this moment? Um, do you think we're behind schedule?
I mean, it depends on what your goal is in that 5 year plan, right? Like, I think Lutz is going on the record of saying year one to make the playoffs the first year, let alone win the West, was a monumental. Um, it was like a rocket ship, right? Shooting you to the
Right.
top. You were way out of your expectations. No one expected it.
Yep.
And now to see where we are, I think this is probably more where we were meant to be. In my mind, there's probably a reason folks were picking us to finish in the bottom of the MLS in the bottom of the West, and so you've got a turnover, right? You expect you're starting as an expansion club. There's going to be positions you have to continually upgrade. I don't think a coaching change was probably in the forecast, let alone two of them at this point. So that sets you back. And then you've had misses on some of your transfers. You've had other guys that have been good but can't stay healthy. Um, I think it's hard to give them a real grade on where you are,
Right.
other than saying it's probably not good enough, in my opinion. But I can't fault Lutz for trying, Mo. He's trying to fill the gaps.
Yeah, and I think maybe so he's trying. We all can see that he's doing what he can, or as far as we know, doing all that he can with the resources that's made available to him.
Mm-hmm.
We do see being injuries was something that's maybe not many teams have to deal with to that extent where
Yeah.
we're actually celebrating when we see one or two player injured on that list, which typically is not something that you actually look for to before a game.
Mhm.
Um, it almost seems like we just went, like you said, from the very top of the mountain, and then instead of gradually just going down, it just went from the 15th floor all the way to the first floor, and then still trying to find yourself to go up, but yet I guess the MLS of the world keep pushing you back down to reality.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's the MLS because you could argue that a lot of our issues in these games, performance wise, are kind of our own fault. The mentality of the team. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, as we talk about the Chicago game and maybe even some comments from sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel in a bit. But, it's hard. It's I guess this is the thing, and this is not meant to be an excuse, but it's I think in a way meant to I want to humanize these players a little bit because I know it's their job, Mo. I know that they are expected to win. They have contracts. That's what they do. And for as much as we're saying, oh, this is so hard on us because we're fans, I mean, these guys are out there, sweating and bleeding and grinding. And, it does have to be, it's some way, shape, or form mentally and emotionally exhausting for these guys. They've got a lot invested in this club and in themselves. And to constantly feel like you're down a goal, you come back, and then you're pegged back again, that's got to take some kind of toll on them. And I'm almost wondering if we just need to get to the end of the season so that they can have a mental reset of sorts.
Yeah, that one I'm still questioning on if that reset button, because it probably should have been pressed the season before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, maybe when I said MLS, like, is maybe a lot of
Mm-hmm.
the players that came in maybe were not ready or built for the physical demand that playing in the MLS is like. Because
That's fair.
yeah, because it's like when we're talking like the championship, right?
Mm-hmm.
That one is even a more physical league than the EPL. So a lot of those players that go down to the Champions League probably will not make it as they were successful as in the EPL. So I'm wondering, maybe if since we have a lot of exports,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe that's now become a problem, because you see all of the players that are mostly injured. It's guys that maybe 2-3 years into MLS, where you see a lot of the other guys that maybe have been around long enough was still staying healthy.
Yeah. Well, and so I guess that part of it too is it does make you wonder because, and I'm sure this name will, fire some folks up in the chat, but Josh Yarrow, at least to this point, has still not ended up on the injury list. For some
And
reason, he's been immune to the injuries. Everybody else under the sun gets hurt. Everybody else in the back line gets hurt, misses time. Everybody else in the midfield gets hurt, misses time. Somehow, some way, Josh is healthy. And is it him taking care of himself? Is it something he could teach the other guys? I
or
don't know. There's a lot of questions there.
Kyle too have not had much
Oh yeah.
injuries as well. So yeah, so I think for me it's starting to look like more of, it's like a handful of players that you expect to be injured almost.
Mm-hmm.
Kessler was, for me, was a little bit of the surprising part, where he's been out for so long, because he's an MLS guy. So it's good to see him back, but it looks like it was like the perfect recipe for disaster, that everything that we've seen our previous team have, City unfortunately have had it in the last 2 years of their 3 year existence, which it take
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years for certain teams to find themselves in a situation where you have more
Well,
players, in the emergency room than on your bench.
Well, and the thing too, going back, if you look at like year one to where we are now in Lutz's 5-year plan, I mean this is the time to turn the team over. I mean
Right.
this team seems like it was built to really be blown up after this season because you have 13, 14 contracts ending. Yeah, there's a good chunk of them that do have options, so some will be back. But like this is as much as it's probably going to sound like an overreaction, I don't think it is. This is the time to decide what this club is going to be in the future, because this is, to me, if you're going to change coaches, if you're going to have a conversation about playing style, not that I know Lutz calls it a non-negotiable, but if you're going to have a conversation about it, this is the time to do it, because you can flip a good portion of your roster. If you deem something needs to change and you don't like the mentality, or you think you need a coach that does something different, not Olaf Melberg, but a coach that needs to be something different, you've got a chance to bring him in. Like, this is the most important winter and again, it's going to be an overreaction and sound like I'm blowing it out of proportion, but in my mind, this is the most important winter and transfer window this club is going to have seen in their first 5 years of existence, in my opinion.
Yeah, from what we heard, there will be a lot of movement. So we'll see on that part. And I think just wanted to also mention for our good friend Daniel here, that he mentioned, maybe the players not caring because there's no relegation. I think that one is like almost a double-edged sword thing, because I'm at a certain point, a lot of the players that may have been in that relegation experience probably are your most hardest working players. And it's kind of hard for me to think that maybe players are not caring because there's no relegation. I'm not sure if that's reached that point just yet.
So, okay, so hang on. Let's ask that. Let me ask you this then, and Daniel, please answer in the chat as well. But Mo, let me ask you this: do you think there's a difference, because we've got some players on our club that have played in Europe that have battled through and experienced relegation and promotion? So is there a difference in culture there? Like, they're coming over, they've been through it, so now they don't fear it, so it's less of a motivation. But on the flip side, you have your MLS guys like a Kessler that you just mentioned, who are playing for a chance to maybe increase exposure, maybe make another jump, maybe play abroad. Maybe it is to the championship. Maybe it's to, the second tier of the Bundesliga. Maybe it's to the second league in Spain. Maybe it's something like that. Or, I think AZ went to Poland. Something like that. Like, I don't think that it's just as simple as saying there is no relegation, so the players have nothing to fear and nothing to play for. I don't think it's as simple as that. What do you think?
And I think that's where you have the mixture of players in your team. That I think the biggest difference that I see now is, the teams where to close out a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say certain players have the experience to hold a game on because you're leading, if you've never been in that experience before, you're tend to do more mistake, and then you will not keep that lead. That's why we talk about Arsenal, right? They were in the first place for so long, but they're not used to the grind of having the last 5 games being the most important, and then they slip down the line just because of the lack of experience there.
Yep.
And I think that's probably what it's kind of showing at this moment. Is one, the lack of experience to come back from a deficit, even though they did it last game. But also we're finding ourselves where we have a lot of proven players that are almost not have something to prove compared to others. The first season, we had a whole bunch of rejects from other teams that had a point to make, and they sure did make it, because a lot of the players that we deemed not good enough or have bad attitude or others, if you think about it, where are they now? A lot of them are in Europe.
Yeah, there's a few that have made the jump. I think Sam Adeniran was another one. He's at Lask again now.
And then we got Nico, that's in Greece.
He's been around. And even those that stayed in MLS, you could argue Jared Stroud has had some success and maybe not trophies in DC, but he's been a starter there. Same with Bartlett. And then you've got, John Nelson, who is literally nicknamed The Rock and loved by the Galaxy, who, by the way, won an MLS Cup last year with him in their starting 11. So I'm glad that you just brought up that comment too, because Lutz, just to bring folks who maybe didn't see it, haven't heard it, didn't listen to it. One thing that Lutz Pfannenstiel did say over the weekend was around that mentality, saying that, and I need to find that quote so I can actually read it the appropriate way here. So let me find that very, very, very quickly. Let me find that real quickly, where he said that we are scared to win in a way. He said, I think it's the mental part of the game. You're 2-1 up, and you have that feeling where it sounds funny to say, but we're scared of winning. Then you make a mistake. We drop a little bit deeper, kind of invite the team to increase the pressure. That's something we've done quite a lot this season, not finishing games off. And, he then went on to say that we become too passive. The other teams become the team that dominates us, and it's not necessary, pointing to the fact that we have quality based on our wins against Portland and Nashville, and even the way we played against Chicago, which we haven't even gotten to yet. But he said, and I quote, "You need to be able to close games. You need to be able to put a game to bed, and that's something we will work on." And I think the frustrating thing is, Mo, we've been working on that for quite a while this season.
So I guess that I will be putting as the soccer player hat
Yep.
that on me, and then my question will be then is, who the hell are those players? They're competitors, right? This is not the first time they've kicked a ball around.
Mm-hmm.
They've been professionals for decades. They went to they literally went from, grassroots all the way to the pros. Being scared of winning, if I was the owner, I'll probably fire everybody.
Yeah.
If you cannot close out a game, right? So there's 11 players on the field, so you most likely have 3 or 4 that are leaders.
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing? Is anyone talking? And is anyone saying anything that says, hey, we're down 1-0, we're coming back. Hey, we came back to 2-1. We're winning. Where are the leaders that says, hey, let's close this game out? Maybe that's what we're missing. Because
Maybe.
all of this mental thing saying, scared of winning, scared not wanting. You guys are grown ass man playing soccer. Maybe we should bring kids that are in the city too, which I don't think people might not appreciate. But guess what? Maybe they need a little bit of that competition, even for the starters that are making, the million plus.
Mm-hmm.
That says, hey, you ain't cutting it. This kid's probably gonna take your spot.
Yeah, and maybe that's the hunger, right? Maybe that is what it is. I mean, I think if you go back just a few weeks when they were talking about what Padelford and Sangbin have brought and the competition that they brought, or even weeks before that when we were bringing up a McSorley and a Joyner, I think Pierce was called up a few times, and they cited, whether it was Critch or Lutz, just the energy and the competitiveness that those guys brought and how it changed the mentality of the team. I think there's something to that point. I also think there's something to what Tim is mentioning in the chat with the winter window, because he's right. European teams are not going to be motivated to sell in the winter. So you outside of the Scandinavian leagues, I think those are the only leagues around the European continent that mimic our schedule. So we're either going to be paying premium prices or focusing, as Tim points out, on MLS internal moves. Do you have any thoughts on that, Mo?
I think it's just like what Charlotte did, negotiate with a team that will buy the player. They already have put the money, but they are sending the player back to you. There's creative ways that you can have a player, yes or no. It's not like you have to pay him right away. Some of them do payment plans. Some of them say straight cash. Some
Mhm.
so there's creative ways. Even if there's a surplus in the team, they
Mhm.
every team has a surplus of players that they try to clear. So I think for me now, it almost get to the point to where it's like the ownership team just has to say, "Hey, this is not good enough. We're going to put our money where our mouth is, and we're going
Mhm.
to let you go above," which they did with Falufal because that's a defender, 5 million plus others. So there looks like that purse is getting stretched a little bit more.
Yep.
But I think it gets to that point to where we need to hear maybe a lot more than just from Lutz because he is getting all the fire,
Yeah.
right? Because he's like the face of it.
Mhm.
But where's the others? We have,
Well.
and we do have like Hack is like knows everybody in US soccer,
Mhm.
right? So why we're not dipping in that where he's did the first season and we're able to bring players, right?
Yep.
I
No,
think
I
it's just that system where Lutz is getting all the fire, but there's still a lot of people
well,
behind doors that like LAFC just spent what $25 million. And yes,
on Sun Human.
yes, I know
Mhm.
they have. I know there's a lot more owners and it's LA and all that, but Cincinnati's doing it.
Yeah.
Charlotte is doing it. So
Yep.
the Midwest teams don't have the excuse of saying, "Oh, it's because we're in the Midwest and it's not working."
Well, so but then the question becomes if we start spending, we've already spent. I think we've spent somewhere around 8-9 million this window alone, which is the most we've spent yet. Um, but is the issue lack of spending? Or because we're right in the middle of like that MLS salary guide. Like when you talk about team spend, we're like right in the middle.
Yeah, but
Or
some
is
of
the
those guys are. It's like almost a handful of guys that are making,
well,
that
right?
type of money,
Yeah.
and from what we're getting at this moment, the performance we're getting at this moment for that type of money is
Well,
nowhere near.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask is the issue more so quality? Like, are we spending the money? Like, are we spending in the right places? Because you could say like, and this isn't necessarily like I said, Lutz. I said earlier, Lutz is trying to do things, but how many ways have we tried filling the left back spot in our roster? Hell, we still don't have a six, which in my opinion is why we lost in Chicago or didn't at least get a damn point out of a game we should have got something out of.
Yep.
But so it's and the problem is we're consistently trying to go back and fill those holes over and over and over again, so we can't upgrade anywhere else, or we put ourselves in that situation where we have a budget of X dollars, and because we're filling this hole and that hole and this hole for the third time, we've already allocated most of that money and then are taking a budget rack guy, and this isn't meant to be a slide on Betcher, but his price tag is $200,000 or whatever it was, or 250. Like, that's not big money in the MLS.
No, no, and that makes total sense. And I think, yeah, I think a lot of the position we find ourselves with Nielsen and Pedro, all those guys that cost
Yep.
a lot of money, that could have gone elsewhere. I think for me is that this team is still building, trying to figure
Yeah.
out what they need and want, and how the ownership team wants to spend it and
Mm-hmm.
how to spend it. Because I try to be, I try to be fair with, all of the people that running the pieces. We're
Yep.
just assuming a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But one question I'm wondering is that keeps coming back to mind is that, when she said she didn't know much about soccer until now. Um, but yes, you don't have to know a lot of it, because if you surround yourself with smart enough people. But I think the MLS is changing to a way where what they got away with MLS 1.1 and
Mm-hmm.
2 and maybe 3 ish, that is not cutting it now, because the owners that are now joining
Mm-hmm.
our football people are competitive people that wants to win,
Yeah.
and they're finding a way or finding money to do it. Atlanta, I take them
Yeah.
out of the question because Arthur is filthy rich, Home Depot, so he can spend 21
Right.
million by himself because he
Yeah.
run U.S. soccer. But I think that's the shift that I see in MLS, is that the way that you were able to do business
Yeah.
before with those teams is different now. The price
Well,
tags are going up and up and up
Well,
and up.
and we could be on the flip side. We could, and I'm going to mention somebody's name that I loathe and despise, but I have to do it because he owns a team in the MLS. That Stanley Kroenke guy who owns the Rapids but doesn't invest in them at all, or hardly like that. Would you rather be in that situation where you have an owner who you know can spend the money but then doesn't? And I think their biggest move in the window, if I don't remember, was selling Jordy Mihailovic to
Yep, he's out.
Toronto.
Yep. No,
So I mean, I don't know.
he's a whole nother discussion.
Right. No, I know, but my point is, like, we're sitting here talking, like, we're at least trying to figure out where and how much and who to pay and when and where,
Yeah.
even if our owner doesn't know what a Bernabeu is. I'm not going to
I
forget that.
I missed that part.
You missed that? That was from the kit reveal. Were you at the Forever Red kit?
Yeah,
Yeah. Bill McDermott said something about the San Diego Bernabeu, and she goes, "What's a Bernabeu?" And he looked at her and goes, "It's where Real Madrid plays."
Maybe he mispronounced it.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll be nice to Carolyn. She pays the bills. But no, Daniel, I do think Carolyn wants to win, and I guarantee you Lutz wants to win. Lutz isn't going on the radio every weekend, or a month ago talking about how he's embarrassed about the performance in Dallas if he doesn't want to win.
Yeah. Oh, that one I will take away.
Yeah,
I don't take much stock on anything that says players don't want to win.
Yeah.
Team does not want to win because they put money behind it, so they get to win.
Yeah.
Yes, I understand there's not much of a financial impact if you're first or last, but the impact is that your fans are on you heavily. And from what I've learned from St. Louis is that if you're up, they love you, they'll celebrate you, but when you're down, they will make sure that they will burn the whole house down until someone else make sure it happens.
I mean, the Savannah Banana, just down the road, the Savannah Bananas filled Busch Stadium. I don't think the Cardinals have done that since opening day.
Yeah, but those guys filled like everything.
That's fair. That's true.
But yes,
that's fair.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm even though we even haven't talked about the game just yet, and we're almost 30 minutes into it, but I think it's one of those things that we had to talk about that situation because I think there's not too many people that have too much to celebrate on because of how things are is going up and down too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, go ahead.
Well, and Mo, there's a lot of people that right now are they're frustrated. They're not only about the result; it's the fact that we're 3 days, I think, before the window closes, and we haven't done anything in about a month. Or at least 3 weeks since we announced. Was it fall? I think fall was the third. I mean, we knew about him, but he was the third to arrive.
Yeah.
Or the Nilsson buyout might have even been the last piece of business because I think that was. Yeah.
Well, Nilsson was, but for the
right. But a lot of people, including myself, presumed we did it now because we were going to make a move. And here's the thing we don't know. I will say this. We don't know. Maybe there was something in process and it fell through. Maybe there was something happened. Maybe personal terms couldn't be agreed or a fee couldn't be agreed. And bottom line is we don't know all the details. But I think there's a lot of folks that are frustrated when they look at a roster and they still see a hole or two. And they're like, well, we spent the money to open it up. Why are we not filling it? And I think that's what a lot of people are frustrated about right now.
Yeah. And the question is, how would they want to fill it as well?
Well, that's the $1 million question. And I mean, we could all say a 6 because I don't think I'm alone in feeling we need a 6. You might think we need something else, but I want a true 6 because I'm sorry, Durkin ain't cutting it. We know Leuven isn't it. He can Leuven do it, yes, but we need him elsewhere. But Durkin's not a 6. Time to stop that charade. If Critch is going to be the guy, they don't see JGR as a 6. He's a CB. That's fine. He can stay at a center back, whatever. But in my mind, we need a 6. But here's my only thing. I don't want another Jande Silva situation, and that is not meant to slight Jande.
Mm-mm.
That just didn't work. That to me screams rushed signing, panic signing, for the sake of having something, and it did not work. And I don't want to do that. You don't want to do that and take that roster spot, because if you sign somebody now, I don't think you're going to get them for, now to the end of the season. That would be pointless. So you either sign somebody now that's going to be here next year, or you do nothing. Or maybe you find a way to call it Makai Joyner or somebody from City 2.
Yeah, Silva, I'm still trying to wrap my head around what's that situation. If there was a maybe a backdoor deal that something else it's cooking that Olivier, but for me, he's a warm body, and we know he can dribble, we know he can play. At a certain point, let him play. At least get some of your money worth. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't at this point.
but yes, I think that one is still. I still have not gotten an answer, so hopefully we'll know in the future maybe what it is. But before we jump into the Chicago game, because I think we're almost spending enough time to
Yeah.
it's a therapy session. But going into the Chicago game, how how would you feeling first?
I mean, I was optimistic. We had just played arguably our best game of the season against Nashville. I felt we were confident. I thought we had a squad that was the healthiest we've seen in probably months, where the thing going, or the conversation going into it, Mo, wasn't wasn't about who's available. It was more so, we have so much health now, who's going to start. And that was exciting. I think I posted it going into the game. Like, it was one of the most fun starting 11s, because I didn't have a clue at who was going to be in it. And yeah, it was fun. But that was my thought, is I was optimistic. I don't remember if I picked a winner or a draw, but I think I was optimistic going into it. What did you feel going into it?
I felt pretty good about it. I thought maybe a few more players was going to be starters versus. That's
Mm-hmm.
why maybe the questioning starting to show up a little bit. But
Sure.
you know, they've shown against Nashville, they locked down Mukhtar, so I thought maybe they were going to take that energy to Chicago. Um, we saw it on and off a little bit, but
Yeah. And there's your lineup, by the way. I
yes,
just tossed it up for you, because that's where I wanted to start the conversation as well as you. Go ahead.
no, yeah. So that's pretty much where I was going for. But I'm personally, I'm still trying to figure out why we're still doing a back four, especially that we have so many holes in the midfield. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
still that's the biggest question I still have with the roster,
Yep.
just in general, is why do we have to put that much players?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Real quick, running through because I do think there were some surprises here. I do have a thought though.
Mm.
So, are you thinking we should switch back to a back five now that we've got kind of that? If we know we are conceding too much, now that we have a healthy guys of Fall and Kessler and Baumgartel with JGR as a sub, maybe Orozco comes in as a sub, and we could play Tots on the right. Is that kind of where you're thinking? Since you just mentioned maybe a system change.
No, because back five we still then will be too defense heavy, and that will then mean what Leuven and Durkin have to come back more, and most likely see Klaus coming all the way down to try to
Yeah.
take the ball and carry it up. Um, I think we're trying to probably have the midfield a lot more congested. And I think the
Mm,
first year City was more congested in the middle as well. So
yeah.
it was like there was a lot more battles happening. Now, if you look, a lot of the games that we're having is a player that's able to run for what 10, 15 yards without being
Mhm.
um, bothered whatsoever. And those are professional soccer players. A lot of them are creative. You give them 10, 15 seconds, they've already read the whole entire field and they know where their teammates are. And that's how the first
Yeah.
goal in Chicago happened.
It is. It is. I think for me, if I pull the starting 11 back up real quick, I don't know about you. Were you surprised to see Kessler Baumgartel as your defensive pairing with Fall as a sub, or do you think that that was the right move? I think
I
that was the first big surprise. I thought.
I don't think it was. The reason why for me is that they did well the last game. So unless there was fitness questions or why try to force to plug Kessler back
Mm-hmm.
when the last game has worked out well? And Chicago, let's be honest, they almost have the same firepower as Nashville when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to their forwards. So why not just give him a little bit more of that run first, and then maybe have Kessler come towards the end? And from what you saw from the goals, is that Baumgartel and Fall, their sync was off for
Mm-hmm.
the majority of the game that they were back on together. And that was the reason because now Timo had to readjust from having Kessler as a partner then to Falu as a partner.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think we've got to figure out, and maybe that's what the next 8 games are, is figuring out what that top pairing is for next season. That's probably one of the big things to sort out. I think because yeah, you've got a Kessler might not be here, but I don't know the teams. That's another big decision for the offseason, is Kess coming back. If he comes back, is what's the salary going to be? I don't think the team is better without Henry Kessler. But I don't know. I don't
So
know
he's
where
it.
we fit him
So
in.
is it
Go
for
ahead.
one season and then with an option? Is that what?
Kessler, yeah. So Kessler his contract is up. He has an option for next season, and then he would be out of contract completely. But yeah, he has an option.
Okay, so
But yeah,
hmm,
we had him for a season and a half because we got him last year at the for in the trade with New England for Timmy Parker. So it would have been a season and a half plus an option in that trade. But
hmm,
yeah, I don't know if he can stay healthy. He's among the best center backs
right.
in the league. You're not, but I don't think you can. This game goes back into roster build. I don't think you pay him TAM level money if he's a rotation guy. Um, Maybe you do, but that seems like the bad approach to me. But no, I think that's an important. I don't know. For as good as Falou played against Nashville, I think Critchley cited travel and saying that he had traveled a lot
Yeah.
in the last 3 weeks. Maybe that's I don't know.
That's
I
what I
was
assumed.
surprised.
That's think that was what my tweet was saying, is that maybe that was the fact that then he played against Aston Villa, um,
Yeah.
and then played here. Maybe that was the case. Um, but then that's where we're talking, the whole physio discussions where
Yep.
everything is being tracked so much that a lot of it sometimes is taking off of the player and even the coach's hand when it comes to the data that's being shared.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that was it. But I think for me, just looking at the lineup, like the midfield for me screams way too much. It doesn't make so much sense to me, I guess I will say.
I Yeah, so here's what so if you go back in time, right? Like when we first traded for Durkin, we were thinking Durkin and Leuven was going to be that midfield combination that was going to solve all of our problems.
Mhm.
But I think over time, we've seen Durkin is not a six. And in this game, even though it seemed like I thought the plan was going to be more to play him more as a six, especially defensively, because the club set in a 4-1-4-1 defensively when we were in that rest defense.
Right.
But he didn't stay in front of the back line. He was roaming all over the place. I mean, that's fine if I guess he's a sweeper in front of the back line, but I don't know. I think Durkin. I feel like Durkin is hurting his own case, and maybe some of it is what he's told to do. Mo, I don't know.
Yeah. So was he trying? Has to be a CDM? Is that what he's supposed to be? Because he's not like the creative player that we
No.
that. So is he supposed to be like the like the
I would.
workhorse, I guess. I
Yeah,
mean,
he's like your engine, your engine guy who's going to go box to box and clog up passing lanes and half spaces. I suppose is what his role is supposed to be. But I
but he
guess,
does more fouls than
yeah,
stops and take the ball away. Um,
yeah,
because for that
and he,
position, usually I see it's like a smaller guy that won't go up as much, but
mhm,
they're comfortable as of like battling for the ball 24 the whole time. And if they have the ball, it's like for a few seconds because they find another outlet for it.
yeah,
Um, if that's was what his role is, I don't think it matches much with what Leuven has, or he will have to be behind Leuven, so he stays
mhm,
closer to the back four and play sort of the protection to Leuven when he's trying to move up to be a little bit more creative, and then Durkin stays put
yeah,
versus them both having to go up. So I think
and that,
I miss that part. I miss the CDM role that we've known to like.
yeah. Well, and that's like I said, that's what I thought Durkin was going to be, and he wasn't. And then one other question with the lineup, real quickly,
Yes,
Hazi Orozco at right back. Thoughts, concerns, surprised to see him in over Tots, or do
I
you
was
think
not.
Hazi? I
I
wasn't
wasn't.
either.
No,
Go ahead.
he earned his spot. He scored a goal. He was in the match week team. That's how player gets rewarded, right? Either you get rewarded because you've pulled the entire practice week, you've shown something to the coaches that earned you your spot, or
Mm-hmm.
is that the previous game, or that you've done enough to take over the next person that's trying to get your role. But now the question you have to then ask is, what is Totland doing, or what is he isn't doing that's
Mm-hmm.
taking away his chance to play? Because Orozco, got the contract. He's showing what he has to. He's also been lucky enough that he had Grizzly on the CD2, so he's
Mm-hmm.
seen what he's capable of. And he's a MLS, even though he was in the MLS2 and others,
Mm-hmm.
he's still a homegrown MLS experienced player.
Yeah.
He's young. He made a few mistakes here and there. That happens. But he have shown that he've earned his spot. So that's why I wasn't really surprised about it. Is that you pull your weight, and it'll be worse to be in the team,
Mm-hmm.
the MLS team, and then all of a sudden they say, no, you're back on the bench.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I read it as, so I guess here's what I, if I'm thinking, trying to do my best David Critchley impression, and I'm not going to do the accent because I can't,
Yeah,
but
don't
if
put
I'm
us in
trying to think of
trouble.
my best David Critchley mindset here, my thought is, we know Padelfer is going to be aggressive. He's offensive on the left. We're going to, if the plan, and I'm saying it, the plan is Durkin's going to be recessed as a deeper lying midfielder. You have Orozco, whose profile is more defensive in comparison to Tot's ability going forward. Is the plan to basically say, okay, we're going to have Padelford bombing up the left, making overlaps because Hartle is going to tuck in.
Mhm.
Roscoe can stay back to keep a back three, or if Durkin is back as well, somewhat of a back four at times in that rest defense. If you can pin Chicago in, is that the plan, or do you see both of your wide midfielders, Hartle and Sang Ben, tucking in with overlapping runs from Orozco and them. So I see tactical benefits is all I'm saying to that conversation. I feel like the buzzword is balance, and I feel like that's what Critch is still searching for, and why we saw Orozco play, especially going into the game when Critchley said, "Oh, their threats are going to come from the wide areas of the game," and it did. Strangely enough, most of their threats came through Gutman right in front of Hazi's position on the right.
Yeah, and I think that, and then that's probably what we spoke offline too. Is so the team is prepared properly. they provided the information they need against the team that they're playing against.
Mhm.
It's just the execution that it's not happening.
Yeah.
So now it's starting to almost go back in that circle where we talk about, like Matt says, that we're talking the front office, but then all of a sudden that circle goes all the way back to the field because it looks like the game plan was presented, but the execution did not.
Yep. I'd agree because I think I think you and I, we could sit here and see what we think probably was going to happen, and it just didn't.
Yeah, and I think that's probably where it comes to the first goal from Chicago that you've shown me the screenshot, and I think I even tweeted or in our personal chat where that cross, even though it was a beautiful cross from the left side to the
Yeah.
middle, for those of you that have seen it, you can see that we have a certain Timo that was equal or maybe in front of the
Mhm.
goal scorer, and then did a little bit of that stop, go, stop, just like that here. Would you
Yep.
imagine if he would
So
have continued his run?
yeah. So yeah. So this is the build up to the Chicago goal. Just for those folks who maybe haven't seen this angle, maybe didn't see the game. So that's, and it's blurry because it's a screen capture, but it is what it is. So there was a ball played down the side to Gutman, and he one touches that ball where he had gotten past Orozco on the through ball. He one touch passes that around Orozco. Kessler is the one in the middle, so Kessler can't get to it. But as you were just pointing out, Mo, Baumgartel has at least probably a half a step on Kuipers there with the trailing defender as well, who was Padelford. But the ball beats all three of them, and Kuipers taps it in from like the 6-yard box.
Yeah, so that's the scare part, is that there's two players that probably should have cleared the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, still, Timo is like that run is that you just forget everything. I don't care if it's possible offside or anything, is that you run to the left and then the ball comes to you and you just put it in the bleachers.
Well, and so the thing is, I'm going to take that down because there's one other screen clip I want to show you because I was looking at this as well. There was a bill right before that pass to Gutman. There was a press attempt that came, and I want to show you because I think when you talk about the breakdowns, so the pass that came was there was a Bamba picked up a pass at midfield. So this is Bamba is behind him, but there was a pass. So you see, there's 3 City defenders at midfield. There was a moment where Sangbin and Durgan both stepped up to pass or to press there. So the gentleman that's at midfield is Bamba. Bamba played a pass, splitting Durkin and Sangbin to Gutierrez. Gutierrez found Gutman, and then that built up to that cross. So you have a failed press and then a poor moment marking in defense that really, I think, contributed to that goal.
Yeah, look at him. He's in no man's land.
Well, you talked about those 15-yard pockets of space, Mo. What's he got?
That he has players behind him, and the defenders are actually playing with their back to the. Yeah, that right there.
Like,
You're
is this a moment where you want Kessler
to?
So do you want Kessler to spin and confront at that point, or should Orozco peel off and Kessler go wide?
I think probably Kessler go wide, because if Orozco turns, unless they were trying to play the offside position,
Mm-hmm.
but he's so far out, on the left side, he's so far out that the offside plays out the picture.
Yeah,
If he stops and trying to go for the ball, he just pass it to him, and it's even a clear opportunity.
And yeah, just for sake of, again, conversation, so it goes from that play to this. So it goes from here where Gutierrez has the ball with a pocket of space, can take a touch or two, and then just play that pass wide, which sets up Gutman for the one-touch cross, which was a great ball. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know, just a failure on multiple fronts for that first goal.
Yeah.
And to that
Great
point,
ball,
City had
but
played
there's
pretty
still
well.
players. There's still
Yeah.
3 players that could have gotten the ball. So I think it shows also a little bit of that mentality that you were mentioning, that run
Yep.
that he made. He could have just give up and say, "Hey, that ball probably is going to be out." But I think it was Timo that had that thought that either the ball was going to go wide or he's going to attempt to go, and that's why he did that starter, go stop go.
Yeah.
Versus the offensive player that I forgot his name, that is like, I'm going to win that ball, I'm going to score it no matter what. And he was there for easy tap in.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it really was. He tapped that home. There was nothing that Berkey was going to do. He was, like I said, around the 6-yard line. It was it was the highest post shot expected goal of the game. 0.82 post shot expected goals. Nothing Berkey was going to do.
It's a tap in. Yeah, that's
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I think so. For that goal, that was pretty much the unfortunate highlight of it was miscommunications. But that's where the whole Durkin playing as a CDM, like that much space would not have been allowed with that role.
No,
because you're thinking more about clearing the midfield versus moving the ball forward.
Yeah, no, you've got to have more organization. And again, I think there is a part of me. I know these guys have been in training mode for a while, like they've trained together, but it's almost, you almost start to wonder, because there were other chances or times in this game where like the pressing cues just seemed a little bit off, and because they were a little bit off, they being Chicago were able to find 1 or 2 quick passes and literally go from their defensive third all the way to almost in our box in 1 or 2 quick passes.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the Klaus Betcher relationship, but for the defense.
That's fair. Well, okay, let me ask you this, because you watched the game again like I did.
Yeah.
I feel like the cohesiveness, the connectedness, I feel like you're seeing that in the attack, because these guys have played together for a couple of weeks now. You don't see that from between the defensive third and the defenders in the midfield. Am I crazy in that? Because
Nope.
that's what I saw.
That's the midfield is what is missing, because you can see the one touch. You see a lot of the sequence that we like to see 1, 2, or 3 passes. They're there, but who's making the breakthrough pass?
Yeah.
And I think there's still a lack of trust, I think, from Klaus for him to stay up enough, because I think I understand we're supposed to defend as a team, but when your striker goes and becomes a CDM on the corner kick, that raises a lot of questions. So I think for me, the midfield is just screaming 100% what we're missing. Leuven should not be getting yellow cards for professional fouls.
No, well, here's all I'm going to say about Leuven getting yellow cards for professional fouls. I don't like that he waited until stoppage time to take it, because he should have taken it and brought Kuipers down before they got Zinkernagel down before they got the equalizing goal, because he had a moment, and I'll talk about that in a second, Mo. As far as as the second half, so the first half, there were a couple more chances Chicago had in the 25th and 26th minutes with Gutierrez and Bamba both firing wide. There was a moment at halftime, Edu was catching a lot of flack from fans. He was over dribbling a bunch, I felt like. So I don't know. As it looks like we've got some podcast wars going on. The Monday Morning Center back in the house from South End supporters. Give them a listen, folks. They're a good show. Some good dudes for sure. Indeed. But yeah, maybe that's where Charlie and Oscar are. I mean, we are suspiciously enough missing 2 people.
What you're trying to start now? They're
No.
some of them are Chelsea fans, so no, they wouldn't do that to me. We're good.
Well, hey, and then they've also got a United fan. So where I think
Wow.
we're all yeah. I mean, it's the parallels are crazy. But no, what did you think of Leuven in the first half?
A little bit quiet for my
Mhm.
liking. Um, but I think he had his how are we going to say that? He'd had his moments, but I guess I'll say it in French. He's like still missing with like the joie de vivre, for soccer, where he's kind of enjoying soccer in as he would. He doesn't have the clean shave. He has the beard, but
Yeah.
everything that's happening around him, I'm sure it's like that's his outlet, like a lot of us. But I think he kind of need that one
Yeah.
bulldog that's like in the midfield with him
Mhm.
to allow him to be more of like the maestro,
Yeah.
so that he can send our forwards to and be a little bit more creative. Because the professional fouls, that shouldn't be his. It should be Durkin or whoever is playing next to him.
Yeah. Well, you have to have balance. I think you said it earlier, and I'll repeat it. They can't both be going forward at the same time, right? Like you still want that balance of one forward, one back, but you want them to both have that kind of tenacity, right? That kind of energy, that kind of fight.
Yep. And the friendship, I think midfield is what's missing. Um, I just miss those days.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think midfield is like the most important position. One of the most critical, most important position that you need to have, because it's the the bridge between your offense and your defense. If you give the other midfielders from the other team 10, 15 yards to run, they will scan the entire field for the first 5 seconds, and you give them
yeah.
the other 10 for their teammates to be open. And clearly, you see what happens when you give them too much time.
No, I agree. I think my thing is for me, Leuven. If I was going to sum up the first half in a single word for City, it's what I saw from Leuven in that movement. It's indecisive because we
Okay.
were caught between when do we press, when do we not, when do we go forward, when are we playing long, when are we not. There was just a lot of that kind of indecisiveness that I thought was a factor in the first half. I mean, I
That's,
know.
that's most of the team, unfortunately.
Well, that's fair. What other thoughts about the first half did you have, or do you want to jump into the second half?
No, let's jump to second half. I think we have a lot more to talk about from there.
Yeah, we've got goals. That's where what 3 of the 4 goals in the no 4
Nope.
4 of the 5 goals came from in the game because it was 1-0 Chicago. Which, by the way, I don't know at half. So I will say this real quick: at the half, I don't know. I didn't feel like we were necessarily in it when I watched it the first time, but on the rewatch, it didn't feel as bad as of a first half as
Mhm.
I thought. There was a moment that was bad, but and we like they had some threats, but it wasn't like they weren't getting quality opportunities. Neither were we, but it at least felt like somewhat even.
Hey, Atleti was not the here we go again moment where it's
Yeah.
one goal and then another after the other. So it looks like they kind of settled themselves, where it's like, and have the spirit of like we still have a chance to come back. So
Yeah.
it was not a bad first half. It's 1-0, a nice pass, of course. So I don't think there was much take away as of like Chicago dominated City.
Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, and maybe it was an overreaction at times because the first half, like I said, I initially watched it. I'm like, God, we're playing bad. We can't do anything. But then, yeah, the rewatch happened. So the second half, we didn't waste any time in the second half. Whatever Critchley said to those guys in the locker room, dude, it worked because in the 46th minute, Berkey plays a ball fast from the back, gets it to Klaus. finds Sang Bin after controlling it in the middle of the park. Sang Bin does a good job to slow it down, gets it to Leuven, who then goes out left, takes a few extra touches, but eventually gives it to Paddleford, and Padelford hits a cross that ends up bouncing to Ostrak. And he had a little bit of fortune. Ostrak's first touch goes through Gutierrez's legs. He recovers it and then just blasts it home. It was a well taken moment, nice composed moment from Ostrak. What'd you think of that
Nah,
opening goal for City?
and then it comes back also like to the mentality you were talking about. So it looks like they've had that speech. The coach gave him a speech, gave him a few instructions. They were able to execute on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, whatever happens, it kind of shift to what they're used to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think for me, he's like the first touch, and I think going to Gutierrez's legs, that kind of messes up with your sync when you're trying to settle the ball. So
Yeah.
I was quite impressed on that. And even during the game, the first half too, he was doing his thing, we'll call it. That's why I
Yeah.
posted it, say that he was a beast because he was playing like one. So if there's anyone from that game that should be taking something good out of, that would be him.
Oh, I mean, it's his best game in the City kit. A goal
Yeah.
and an assist. Hadn't done that yet. Clear. I mean, I don't think that's debatable. He was good. He was impactful. He did well in his progressive movements. He was noteworthy. One other thing that was noteworthy,
And he was
Mo, I
chipping.
was he was.
Yeah. Yes.
The one thing though I will say is right after that goal, within 5 minutes, I didn't like our reaction. We get the equalizer, and then it instantly felt like we kind of dropped off for a moment because within 5 minutes, Zinkernagel is in. He slips, and that allows us to recover and stop the attack. But I'm still not thrilled with that response. That I don't know if it's we've talked about the mentality a lot. Is it still that you think? Or what why do you think we get those moments of like we equalize or we go ahead and then we just kind of back foot it?
That one I still don't understand. I don't know if is it instructions from coaching staff, or because you would think that if you score, you equalize, right?
Yeah.
You're all pumped. Now you want to score another goal. That's typically the reaction that 99% of the
Yeah.
other teams will do. But we tend to. I wonder if it's them not wanting to mess up because we're came back and they're still not as confident as of like, no matter what I do, it's going to go in, because
Well,
that's where a player tries, right? If they score their first goal, the second, the third, the fourth attempt, you will like, what the heck were you thinking? It's like, no, it's because I'm feeling it. Before us, it's like it's the reverse. Is that we're playing well, we score, and then we're like, maybe we should temper down our offense.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. I think if we were under Olaf, yeah, because if you remember, Olaf was very much the hey, let's get a goal, let's go ahead, and then let's sit back. We're going to park the bus, so to speak, right? Critchley is the exact opposite of that. Critchley is we get a goal, let's go get another one to kill the game. I mean, he said post game in this one, he couldn't take the foot off the gas and stop going forward because he knew we were going to need a third goal, which that's a whole other conversation. Because what I will say about that quickly, Mo, is if your coach is saying you need a third goal to win on the road, that just screams like I don't trust my defense. Maybe I'm misreading that, but I don't think with Critchley it's the fact it's a decision to sit back. I just think we don't know how to react to positive moments. We get nervous. We feel like, okay, well, something's gone our way. We, instead of building on it, we kind of get scared and go and regress and go back on our back foot because now even though something good has happened, we're afraid of being that next guy to make a mistake. And I don't know how to break that.
Well, then that's all of the players.
Yeah.
And especially if you see your coach is on the sideline pacing himself left and right, and he's literally
Mhm.
on the edge of the box that he's allowed to go to.
Yeah.
And I like to watch coaches also reaction because that tells me a lot of how the team's supposed to be building up. And usually, if your coach is standing, screaming, pointing at where to go, that's usually the reaction that you get from your team. Is not these 11s are doing this, and then your coach is overhyped. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it keeps going back to the
Yeah.
same thing where it's on the player and the mental state or the experience that they have, or something has to click where I don't know, maybe do they need to get a professional wrestler or somebody to show up in there, or that Gruden for that football, maybe he needs to go in the locker room and get someone to get them all fired up or something. Um, because it that's why it's starting to show a lot more is that it's on the 11 on the field.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think it is down to that, and sad to say. I mean, because I mean, realistically, from the time we scored in the 46th minute, there was the Zinkernagel chance in the 51st, 53rd minute. There's a half chance where Hartle links up with a Roscoe, but a Roscoe's cross doesn't find anybody. It was put into a dangerous area, but it doesn't come off. Uh, then we're playing long a few minutes later to Sang Bin, doesn't work. And then the next dangerous moment is again from the fire. It's in the 56th moment where Davila finds Bamba. He links up with Gutierrez. And if it isn't for Baumgartel sliding back in to stop it into the box, there was a big chance there where Gutierrez could have leveled it for the fire then. So within 10 minutes of us finding that equalizer, Chicago's really back on the front foot in a big way.
Yeah, it's just the mentality of don't give up until the whistle is blown.
Yeah. Now,
And uh, yeah,
no, but so that's the thing though. I think what we needed is that second big moment because after that, 2 minutes later, we go ahead. It's a play where there's a free kick in our defensive half. We work it fast to Vollum. Then it moves to Ostrak down on the right flank, who
yep,
passes back to Vollum, and they kind of go back and forth a bit before Ostrak swings it across the face of goal to Hartle, who's just beyond the 6, and he makes no mistake. He takes a touch and then just blasts it into the
Ruffalo.
roof past Brady.
Yeah, and that was like the perfect moment where then City has to just take advantage of that and take the third goal to kill the
Yep.
game, right? Because
Yep.
now Chicago has had multiple attempts. They're not have been successful at scoring, and then you score right after it. That's usually the dagger that says there's a third one coming. But no, we decide to stay back and give them as many opportunities as they want.
Yep.
And as we all know, if the first one is in the air and then the other one is close to the post, most likely the third or the fourth one, it's in the net.
Yeah. Well, and it took them 4 because in this. So again, Mo, we're talking mentality. We go up in the 59th minute. In the 62nd minute, the Fire have another chance to tie it. And who's sliding in this time? Your boy Falu Fall. So in this moment, the Fire built out from the back. Another failed press by City. We try to push forward and get a press. Doesn't work. They switch play to Gutierrez, plays a through ball past Conrad Vollum, a really nice ball. Vollum tried to make a play on it, couldn't stretch and get it. Instead, it falls to Bamba, who ends up getting a cross, another cross into the face of goal, right to Gutierrez. And if it was not for Falu Fall sliding in late to deflect it
Yeah.
over, that one's probably past Berkey too.
Yep. And that's where you show where your defense gets too much work to do.
Yep.
They will have one or two nice plays and then it ends in the back of the net. So,
Yeah.
but you see how it's all still missing where it says the midfield was not there to cover.
Mm-hmm. No. Well, and that's what ends up happening on the equalizer too. because it didn't stop. It was just 5 minutes after that chance that Fall stopped. We didn't capitalize and go get the third, like you
Yep.
said. Durkin plays a ball out from the back trying to find Klaus. He settles it, but it goes too far. Chicago quickly jumps on it, gets it past to Zinkernagel, who Zinkernagel was a force in this game. And he did really, really, really well. He dribbled around Leuven. This is where I wanted Leuven to take that professional foul. Leuven had a chance somewhere around probably 30 yards out where he could have pulled him back. It would have been a yellow. I would have been fine with that based on the outcome, because at that point he gets past Leuven. The only guy that is able to see him next is Falou Fall. Fall's hips are pointed towards the far sideline,
Yep.
like he's going to try to force him wide. And Baumgartel has to track Hugo Kuipers because Kuiper is running in behind Fall. So Baumgartel's shifting over. Everybody's going one way, and Zinkernagel goes the other, and has a shot and a goal.
So I was trying to find how Chicago lineup was their formation was, because that typically will also tell us how much. Oh, let's see. I don't even know if their website.
I think they play a 4-3-3.
Yeah. So just imagine that. So that means that there's always a 3v2 in the midfield for 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they were able to have 10, 15 yards all to themselves, because Leuven is not the fastest, so he's not going to be all from left to right and cover 30 yards. And Durkin is still trying to recover from those runs, and they're probably covering someone. So it's like you have the Silva, Gutierrez, and Ardell all in the midfield.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that they were able to score. And who are the two players that have scored? Is the two guys that were in the middle.
Yeah. Yep. And Mo, I was going to save this until after we got to the third goal, but I'm just going to bring it up now because the third goal also came from the middle of the field. And so this is a map, and this should show you. So these are the yellow zone they call zone 14. It's one of the most dangerous zones on the pitch, right out front of the 18. Chicago had 26 passes in that area, 5 key passes, 1 assist from that area. But why am I talking about that? Well, 2 of the goals, the equalizing goal and the winning goal, both came from that area. So just for a second, those folks at home who can see this, keep an eye on where that yellow space is, because when I show you the next image, which is, as I mentioned, the shot map for Chicago in this game, I think you're going to notice a similarity, like I just said, on where those shots came from. So there's one from right at the top of the box, and there's one from a little bit further back, both in and around that zone 14. So I wanted to call that out because, I mean, again, Mo, going back to what we talked about at the very beginning of this, if you, and I hate to say it, but if you have a stay-at-home 6, a Nemanja Matic, and a N'Golo Kante, someone of the akin to those guys, what's going to happen? Not that, because there's going to be somewhere to cut that out.
Yep, and that's where I guess the Strouts for City was doing that job. Sometimes AZ was doing it. That's why you had Bloom that was doing it. You had Perez that was doing it. So you see where I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
There was those players that were stay-at-home players that they knew their stats were how many tackles, how many breaks, how many passes, and I guess how many fights you've had in the midfield.
Yep.
And then Leuven had all of the time in the world to do what he does best, which is being the maestro and control the offense. So I'm hoping that's one position that, if Lutz or others are looking, that's definitely what needs to be plugged.
Yep. No, I'm with you. So Fire do get that third goal just to kind of, I know we just talked about where it was at, but just the build up that play. Came late, Mo, just to wrap up
Very
that.
late.
I know Betcher did hit the post, but it came in the 87th minute. There was a build out from the fire. They're building out from the back through Gutman again on the left. He gets it to Gutierrez, back to Gutman. Eventually, Gutman works across in that Hugo Kuipers does a dummy on. So Kuipers lets it go past him right to Zinkernagel. And this was, again, just Zinkernagel taking over. He keeps it away from Falu Fall to where Fall comes out, challenges, has to go back in position. Padelford comes out, can't get it. And then finally, Vollum comes out late, doesn't get it, and then he just finds that little bit of space and scores from distance. Again, the second goal from distance to give Chicago the lead in the 87th minute. I mean, I don't know about you at that moment. I didn't know a lot about Zinkernagel coming into this game. I knew he was one of their leading scorers, Mo, but man, am I aware of him now.
Yeah, I was not aware since I try not to follow too many other teams, but I think in the broadcast they were talking about him a lot more. So then my question would have been, why is not Falu playing what maybe would have been more of a match for most of the game? So I think that's where I was standing. So, but not like everybody else. I don't think the Chicago game was that bad as a lot of people are mentioning. So I'm a few lap of decisions that cost us the game and experience.
So Mo, this is what I'll say. I think the frustration comes with a couple of things. One, this isn't a game on paper where, like, and again, I hate to be the XG guy, but I'm gonna wear that hat for just a second. So 2 of the 3 shots from Chicago came on either average or poor quality in terms of XG. That means that the XG was like 0.11, less than 10% or less of going in the goal. Right. But they still went in. And I don't know, Mo. I could be reading too much into this as well, and I hate to do it, but there was a graphic here that just shows all 3 of the goals against Berkey came in almost the exact same spot.
Ooh, that's not a good sign.
They were all one direction. And the 2 shots he saved were there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's a frustrating one. I think for me though, it's a loss that felt extremely avoidable. Mm-hmm. And when you hear now we've dropped 21 points from leading positions this season, I think that's the other frustration. And the other one is we can't win back-to-back games. We cannot win back-to-backs. And if with all the conversation of Critchley being potentially the guy, if he can't win back-to-back games, he can't be the guy in my mind. What do you make of Matt's comment?
So let's see. So it was bad. We dominated.
So for me, go ahead.
So I don't think he was as bad of a game. I understand, dominated Nashville, you get 3 points. Then after that, they have to go away. But I think it was maybe a tactical error that caused the game to not end up as you would have expected it. And I think Chicago just wanted it more because weren't they like on a 4-game winning streak?
Yep. They had won. Yeah, they had 4 or 5 unbeaten, I think, going into the game or something like that.
Yeah. So that's like they're pretty much filling it themselves, right? So that means every any shots they will take the opportunity to have it. But I saw a glimpse. I think I've seen so many bad games from City previously that it's kind of hard for me to put this one in that basket because one, they did come from behind, so that shows a little bit of that quality that's feasible.
Yeah.
And a lot of the sequence that I've seen in offense kind of made me think that there's something that's clicking, but I keep going back to that the middle part is what ruined everything, because we've saw that when our offense is feeling it and they're, ready to play, we're
Hmm.
scoring a lot of goals. If the defense is solid,
Hmm.
aka Nashville, you win the game. But I don't remember the last time where in the midfield we have said we've won this game because the midfield has been the it thing. Either it's Clouds doing what he does, or
Hmm.
now we've had a few bright moments in defense. But midfield at this moment is like one free kick here and there. Other than that, there's not much to celebrate from the midfield.
No, I mean, I felt like we celebrated the midfield a little bbit after the Nashville game, because of the way Leuven and those guys had cut out and helped to come back, and because we played very compact defensively against Nashville. There was not a lot of compactness as the game wore on in Chicago.
Yeah, but
Um,
it almost took defense and following others to like have a great game and kind of like neutralize uh,
oh, you're
Mukhtar
right.
for it to at least give a chance to keep
Yeah,
the lead.
that's
So do
fair.
you remember a game where it's like you've literally did not say, our strikers were it or our defense?
Well, no, but I mean, okay. So I guess my question or my thought to that is, I mean, what do you expect to impact? And maybe this is just a naive soccer guy, but just I'm gonna, for sake of conversation, I'm gonna try to sound stupid for a second. What if someone says to you, who do you expect to have the most impact on the game? Your attackers and your defenders, right? You would expect your defenders to be stopping attacks. You would expect your attackers to be doing what they're supposed to do in attack, and your midfield, just your midfield job is what? Disrupt and link up play. So do you really want somebody to have to say after a game, "Oh my God, the midfield today was so good"? Like, is that
Yes.
really what we want to hear?
Yes.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Because
I
yeah.
just go ahead.
Yeah, and maybe it's the way I watch games others, but I think once that midfield, it's kind of like solidified. And if you watch a lot of the other teams that spend a ton of money, typically it's like the midfield is a very expensive
Yeah.
place to be because you're in both ends of um, the attack and
Mm-hmm.
defense.
Oh
And
yeah.
sometimes they are quiet in the midfield, but if you're paying attention to that game and to those guys, you are like, oh, even though they've not scored, but then the stat guys look, it's like, oh, completed passes, oh, tackles, all this and that. You will see that then they actually have contributed more to the game than the score line.
No, and that's fair. I mean, I can remember a number of the games. As I'm sitting here wearing a United kit early in the career of Casemiro at United when he first came over, and just hearing about, oh, he bothed the midfield, right? Like, yeah, I could agree with you to an extent. We just don't have. I don't know if we have those guys. I
No,
do wonder. Go ahead.
no, we don't at this. Unfortunately, we don't at this moment. And there's one. Some of our most of them are getting injured, and then Leuven has all the other personal stuff. So I think it's that part that we're still missing out to probably close out a game better,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because it remove a lot of the pressure from the defense as well.
Yeah.
So I guess I never played midfield, but I always thought that the midfield is like your, I don't know how you call that.
Well, they're kind of your glue. They're the glue that holds your two ends together. You have to have the midfield or nothing else works.
Yeah, and I think that's what we're missing is that one
We
ingredient
are.
of the head case to even
Um,
though Durkin has it, but um the speed maybe and the coverage is what is kind of lacking.
I just think it's tactical awareness because I felt like off as I was rewatching the game, and I spent a good just watching the Edu Leuven Chris Durkin dynamic in the midfield. It felt like there was at times a lack of communication because they didn't know who was stepping, who was staying back, who was covering, who was going to be expansive. And I felt like that was, as we've just kind of talked about for a little bit, of one of the big issues that I think I saw.
So yeah, that's pretty much where
Um,
I guess I'm at is on that part. So
but go ahead.
yes, it could have been better, but I think if there was not that last slap of mental state towards the end, we probably would have had a different discussion if it would have ended up 2-2.
So yeah, so I wonder though, and I guess what I would wonder is how much of and this isn't to put the blame on Critchley, but I wonder if some folks who have gone back and listened to that press conference after the game too were kind of annoyed with what he said because he was very positive. Just a few quotes he said, I'll paraphrase them. He said it was a tough loss, saying that we've definitely lost games late. The best thing I can do is analyze it back and see what's wrong. Chicago's a good team. They had a lot of the ball, a team that's got good quality, but it's something that we have to continue to try and get through these moments. We keep putting together really good performances. Tonight was a fantastic performance, but we find ourselves on the losing end, and he was super proud of what they put in. He expanded on that, saying that the guys' togetherness and mentality was the best that he's seen since he took the job of manager. He thought the press and the way they defended against Chicago on the ball was very good as well. Um, so he really did feel high on the performance. I think the one question that I do have for you though um, is one: do you think people find that frustrating to hear? Again, it's a good performance, but we lost. And then again, we've talked a lot about mentality tonight. One thing that Critch did say was that one of the most important things right now is keeping the guys together, getting through these moments as we grow. It's the most important thing on my mind. So I just wonder, as we talk about mentality, and I hate to use the word fragility of the locker room, when again we've talked all season long about how we respond to moments not going our way. Is it that are we that soft right now that that's got to be the big thing that we do, is we've got to stay together? Is that a problem? Does that hold us back from moving on and growing and being stronger in the next game?
I think broken, yes, but now I'm starting to say the thing is like how big of a damage Olaf did in the locker room
Mm-hmm.
that the coach that's the caretaker at this moment is playing so much mental because all of the speech, everything he said, right, is trying to kind of keep the players up,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And also, of course, probably did not have enough time to look at all of the stats and everything that he's going to give it. So I think it was more of those, well,
Okay.
put it well enough to be, I guess, on the radio and others, and maybe not to tear down the guys at this moment that are maybe on the fragile state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
But now that tells me it's like how much damage was done prior to him coming, because there's a lot of cheerleading that's happening at this moment, and I keep going back to a lot of the players that were before that left,
Mm-hmm.
where at first we were saying they had bad attitude, they were hard-headed and everything else, but now we're coming back and saying that the locker room is maybe too fragile. Maybe those are some of those mentalities that you need in that locker room in order to balance whoever's up and whoever's down, because it's contagious, right?
Yeah.
Eh,
Like, and I guess the frustration that I have, whether it's been Critchley or even Lutz, we seem to be I feel we seem to be resting a lot on the fact that we're entertaining now. Like, don't get me wrong, yes, this is miles ahead. It's more fun to watch than what we were doing under Olaf. I get that, right? Like, I'm fine, but at the same time, like, I'm here to be entertained, but I also am here for results.
right.
And I'm tired of the half step forward, full step back, full step forward, 2 steps back that we've been on. At some point, and I think Matt Baker on Flyover said this, and so I don't want to steal what he said, but he said something to the extent of, if you want this job, you've got to prove you can win back-to-back games in this league. And this was his chance to do it. And he didn't do it. And unless he can do it and prove it consistently, I just don't know what his long-term future is with the first team. I think he would go back to City too. And that is another issue, because if you're waiting to give Critch the job based on his performance this season, are we going to put ourselves in another situation where we have a huge roster turnover with a new manager who might not fit our system?
I think that's where you lay. And that's why I put the tweet where it's like,
Yeah.
so now we've just learned our lesson that we've had 2 coaches in 3 years. Maybe as the result, I'm maybe not going as you will expect. But if you want an extended window to shop for a coach, or you're waiting post World Cup for it, or you're trying to make sure that any players that you bring in going forward matches the play that the coach that you're bringing in.
Yep.
Um, so we are doing not as bad as we were with Olaf, right? So there's those wins. There's people who are asking to be entertained, so they are up and down. But now my question is, wouldn't you want to be safe a little bit? Maybe see what he can do till the end of the season, and see what's available, because we're on the World Cup season agenda at this moment here.
Mm-hmm.
So they are coaches just like players that trying to build their name for the World Cup or after.
Yeah.
Would that
you're
maybe
right.
price out a lot of the coaches?
Maybe, but I mean, it just depends on you're getting late in the cycle, because you're within a year or less than a year now till the World Cup, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the national teams that are likely going to be in the World Cup, you would think they have their coaches in place now, and that they're really gearing up for their final competitions, anything that's going to be done before the World Cup to get their teams and their squads in order.
But the club teams will still have those coaches that still in the we're available, and a lot of them want to come to the US because yes, it's for sporting reasons, but just like other teams are hiring players from other countries, it's also to bring your profile, because hey, we have X player in our team. Oh, LAFC just goes and get a Korean player. Guess what? Now they're all following LAFC. So when they come into the state for the World Cup, guess where they want to go now?
Right. So, you're right. Yeah.
So it's a very busy. I would not want to be Lutz, because
no. No. Real quick, you just to throw out the comparison. So you asked about Critchley and Melberg.
Yes.
So Melberg ended his tenure with a 2 wins. He was 2-5-8 in his 15 games in charge. Took about 0.73 points per game. The club scored 11 goals and allowed 20 under him. Under Critchley, they've already got more wins. They're 3-1-7. Since it's fewer games, he's technically getting more points per game at 0.9 points per game. Scoring more, we've scored 18 goals under Critchley, 7 more than we had under Olaf, but we've also allowed 4 more goals. So we've been more aggressive attacking, but also more open at the back as well. So it's more similar to what we saw under Hackworth. Hackworth was very similar to what with that. Hackworth did win a lot more, but that's if you're looking for kind of similar numbers. Critchley would be around there. The biggest difference though is Hackworth. When Hackworth was the manager, we only had a -5 goal difference under Hack. The club scored 31 and allowed 36 with Hackworth in charge. Right now, we're on pace to allow 51 goals under Critchley and score 38. So it's a trade off. It's again they're wanting to entertain right now. So I guess statistically, if it's not about wins, it's about being entertained.
I hope not, but
yeah. Mo, any other thoughts on Chicago? I know we can, or do we want to jump just to a real quick talk about Vancouver since that's who's coming up at the weekend?
no, forget Chicago. Let's move on.
So, well, it doesn't get any easier, Mo. We're playing the third best team in the West Saturday night.
and Mueller, yeah.
Mueller, he made his debut, almost scored a goal, got called back for offside on Brian White in the buildup. So Mueller will be likely featuring. I don't know if he'll start,
He'll
but
start.
Thomas Mueller. I mean, I would presume he right. Yeah, I mean,
He will.
that's going to be big name. Who will we try to stop him with? Falou Fall, Henry Kessler, Timo Baumgartel, or are we just going to throw Chris Durkin back out there to hip check him into oblivion?
No, because he got a hip check last game and he stood up and still played.
Of course he did. I mean, he's Thomas Mueller. He's not going to be pushed around. But just real quick, Vancouver, the Whitecaps this season, they were leading the Supporters Shield for a good while. They've fallen off a little bit. They're third in the Western Conference. They're sitting on 46 points with a 13-7-6 record. They are very, very, very good. They are also very good at home. They've taken points in 10 of the 12 home matches they've played this year at BC Place on their turf. They are 7-3-2 with a +12 goal differential, averaging 2 points a game at home. I hate to do it, Mo, but I do have to mention just the comparison to City on the road. This year, City just one win way back against the Galaxy early in the season while Melberg was still in charge. St. Louis City 1-2-10 on the road and a -14 goal differential away from Energizer Park. So a very, very, very tall task. As we've already talked about, St. Louis lost their last game to Chicago. Vancouver dropped points. They drew Houston at home last weekend. And then all time, just quickly, Mo, we have played them 5 times. City is 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 losses against Vancouver, and we have yet to win at BC Place. The most recent game at BC Place last year was a 4-3 City loss, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was Carnell's last game. That was the game we blew that 3-0 lead, and I think Carnell got the sack right after.
So we got fond memories. Maybe we should just hire Vinny.
but hearing all the numbers and the stats, any hope that we could do anything on the road in Vancouver against Thomas Mueller, Brian White, and that Vancouver Whitecaps attack?
Well, on paper, no. But the game is also played on the field. So if there's a chance, there's a slight one. Vancouver is like one of those teams where it's like, how the heck are you guys are playing so well? Where your team is for sale as well,
Mm-hmm.
but you were still able to afford Mueller.
Yeah.
So there's something a little iffy um, happening,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're running all in cylinder. We're playing on turf,
Yeah.
so who's going to be playing as well? Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks,
Stay out
Matt.
of
Yeah.
trouble.
They had a deep run. Was it the CONCACAF Champions Cup that they were runners up in? I think, or they made a final of. I think it was that tournament. They made the final or semifinals in early in the season. They went on a deep run. Yeah, that was the game
Yeah,
they got.
and
They got blasted 5-0 by. Who was it? It wasn't Club America, was it? I don't remember. They got run.
yeah,
They got ran. They got ran in the final. That's what I
that's what broke
remember.
them. Yeah, that's what kind of broke them.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
so
but they go ahead.
I everybody probably will say that they will win. Um,
That's
but
right.
hey,
It was Matty Bogush's Cruz Azul. Thank you,
of
Tim.
course. So I will still say on the app that City will win because I'm crazy.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, it's not a good one.
So looking at it, so Brian White's their leading goal scorer, 13 goals, 1 assist. They've got 3 guys who have 7 goal contributions in Sebastian Borhalter, Emmanuel Sabi, and Jaden Nelson. They've also got, Pedro Vite and Matthias Laborda there as well. So they've got some talent.
Vite gone? I thought he was
Well, he might have transferred out. You might be right. You're right. Pedro Vite did leave.
okay.
FB Ref just hadn't updated that yet. You're right. He did. He left the Pumas. You are correct. But he was one of their leading scorers. Anyway, good shout. Keeping me honest and making me smarter.
I'm right sometimes.
I guess one question though, and not to keep the conversation going too much longer because it is late. But it's turf. Do we think Berkey plays? Because Berkey historically, I don't think he's played on turf in a lot of the games we've played.
So I know he was watching the Chicago Bear football game, and I saw on his Instagram thing.
Was he?
Yeah, he was at that game. He better play.
Okay.
We don't have that luxury.
I mean, I would hope he plays. Like I say, I would hope he plays. I'm looking to see if I can look. So the last game that we lost 4-3, the goalkeeper for City in that one was Ben Lunt. So
Yeah,
the last time we played, so the last time we played in Vancouver, by the way, they normally run, I think, a 3-4-3 or a 4-4-3 formation. But the last time we went to Vancouver, he did not play. I'm looking to see the time before that where we lost 3-0 in 2023. He also did not play.
Yeah, that's not looking good.
So it looks like the last 2 trips we've made to Canada, Berkey has not played. So that is likely one to watch if you're going to predict your starting 11s and think about it. You might see a Ben Lunt appearance.
Wow, he does not like Canada. But
yeah.
But if just knowing if Mueller is playing in Vancouver, and if he's not playing, he's not traveling.
No.
So
yeah,
and they're friends. So I don't know.
This is true.
What like?
Yeah,
and it probably will be a very sold out stadium again because Mueller's playing. So I it will be kind of mad crazy if he doesn't, but
yeah,
everything else says that.
Oh, looks like Romo's still in Chicago. Did you get held hostage by the Fire fans, Romo? Do we need to send a rescue party up there?
SOS. Come on, just let us know.
We can send Oscar and Charlie since they're not here. Maybe we can dispatch them to you at the nearest moment.
I like these pizzas, so I guess if shove out, maybe we'll have to make the drive.
That stuff's casserole. That ain't even pizza.
I
Ah,
like the stuffy things. I don't know.
okay. No, that's fine. Look, I'm just saying I don't call it pizza. It's casserole. But you're right.
Oh
There are a
well,
lot of people that
that
like
one.
it. Although we can say because I've seen I've talked to a lot of people that say real Chicago pizza is tavern style thin crust pizza, not with
Okay.
Provel cheese like here in St. Louis, but they're famous for the deep dish.
Yeah, maybe I'm a
Yeah.
troublemaker, but
We'll try both. Who knows?
I'm an expat from somewhere else. So I guess people giving me a pass for that.
Oh, Romo's safe. We don't have to send out a party. He's going to a concert. So, all right, have
Oh,
fun.
that's why.
Have fun at the concert. I don't know if it'll be more fun than the City game the other night, probably because you won't have to see your team lose. But
Hey, he's a smart man. He's knocking multiple things at once.
hey, look, he is he's a very very smart guy for that. I
But
can't fault him for that.
but thanks for coming for stopping by for a little bit. But yes,
Yeah.
stay out of trouble.
So no, I mean we lost to the Fire. We've got Vancouver at the weekend. And you'll have to stay tuned to the Top Corner socials to see if we have City 2 talk tomorrow with Charlie. He's normally on Tuesday nights around 7 o'clock for about 45 minutes. But City 2, just a quick shout, their unbeaten run to 13 games now, Mo, with a win over North Texas SC on Saturday night. That's actually the good thing about the weather delay. I got to watch the first half of the City 2 game.
Yeah, and I guess North Texas, which is a big good team. So
Yeah.
And I say as long as they're winning, I'm not going to watch any of their games live. So I guess they're
Yeah.
keeping me at home.
So I want to ask you this before we get out of here, Mo. We've got a few days left in the transfer window. Do you
Uh-oh.
think City does anything, or do you think we see somebody like Joyner come up for the rest of the season?
I plead the fifth.
Well, that's not fun. I needed something spicy, Mo. We got to go out here with something because people ain't here to listen to me ramble.
I say I plead the fifth. Isn't it that spicy enough?
I don't know. I don't think so. Chat, what do you think? No, Mo. I guess if we're not going to do anything with the roster spot we have, I would have liked to have done something other than give it to a City 2 guy. I still don't. I still think Joyner should stay at City 2 for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But if they don't have anything else planned with it, I guess for me it depends on what's your goal at this point. Let me put it this way. If you're gonna call Joyner up, you have to start him. At this point,
he has to get minutes, big time.
That's it. In fact, I'll go as far as say if you're calling anybody up from City 2, they have to get minutes. There's no point in using that spot for just somebody to ride the bench. That's all.
No.
That's my big take. There's my spicy take.
No, I am 110% with you. I'm one to think that I'll wait until it says the transfer window is closed, because we've seen many times where we're like, oh, it's over. They're not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
All sporting directors are doing something all year long. There's no such things as not doing anything. We know, the last few hours transfers go through. Fortunately, they're all still using fax and all that crazy stuff for contracts. So I'm optimistic to see one more person added to the roster.
Yep.
But I wouldn't be surprised if we're maybe saving it, or can that be used to leeway with something else?
In what way?
Like deal with other teams?
Oh, it's not an international roster slot, so I don't think there's anything we can do with it.
So there's nothing on there.
No, because Nilsson had his green card. So
yes, I think pretty much that.
Well, wait, I do think we have an international roster spot because saying Ben has his green card. So I think we have an open senior roster spot and an international roster spot. So I do think you could sell that international roster spot for a GAM.
Yeah.
But then
then maybe see one of the players that was told they're probably not going to get any more playing time. I don't know.
Maybe.
It it's one of those, the beauty of not being in the front office. We don't know nothing until, like, who knew we were dealing with Minnesota until it
Right.
was announced.
No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right on that. I was looking to see if I could find my the salary cap tracker because I wanted to confirm that I was right on the international roster spots because I thought we still had one open. Um, we
That'd be
we
very interesting.
we do. Yeah, the maximum of is 8, and we currently have 7 international roster spots filled. So I do think we have an international roster spot open. So yeah, we could sell that if we wanted to,
So,
or trade it, whatever the words you want to use is.
so I wouldn't. Not saying anything, but it's there's possibilities there. It guess now we just have to see what these guys want to. Well, the
Mo
guys
knows more
follow
than
you now, so
Mo, Mo knows more than he lets on.
no, I wish. I wish.
Ah,
I wish, but no. But I think, just to let everybody know, yes, there's rough time, there's bad times. We've seen glimpses of the players being able to do or being capable of performing like we want them to, but I
mhm.
think there there's still something lingering from the previous. Oh, looks like we may have lost Jeremy, but maybe it seems like we may have lost a little bit of that St. Louis style greediness that we expect from everybody else. So let's just see what happens. Oh, you got disconnected. No Go Patrol family. Yeah, and I don't know, maybe I said something and then Jeremy just decided it was time to call it a night, but we'll see if he's back. There's Jeremy's back. I thought I said something that get you mad and you just get this guy.
No, no, I don't know what happened, but I'm back. Sorry.
No, that's all I was saying is that things will get better. I don't know if it will get better now or next game or the game after, but
Mhm.
I think all of us have been there. You look at that, Kyla was dying for you to come back.
She wanted me back. So I don't have dial up. I think I swiped back on the trackpad on this laptop, and then it logged me out of the top corner StreamYard and into mine. So it took me a second, but I'm back.
Right. But yes, but I dial up.
Dial up internet.
Oh boy. Wow, that would have been pretty good dial up if that was the case. But
Yep.
with that say, any final words?
No, I think at the point, I think you're right. I agree with you. The good times will come back. I think we were starting to see hints of it. I think we're starting to see the team in some ways come together. I think we're just still looking for the consistency. And I think once we find the consistency, we will end up getting results. I just think it's that right formula, and we have to figure out what that is. And it's just taking longer than we want. But I'm optimistic. What about you?
I'm too. The only thing that I think we're still on the building phase, even though people might not like to hear that. Look at that, we got friends.
He's been
But
sitting here meowing at me.
I think for me, we're still on the building phase and just seeing how the injuries and how the miss maybe hiring of certain players. I think people are seeing in real life what it's like to start a brand new team.
Yep.
And I think we're
Well,
just seeing it.
and yeah, I think that's what we talked about a lot earlier. Is it's that year 5, year 3, whatever it is now. It just takes time and patience. We'll get there, right? I mean, they're the only way to go. The good news is, I think the only way to finally go is up, and I think we're starting to go that way. We're just kind of going up and then flat and then up and then flat.
If you think about it, Cincinnati before they were Cincinnati here, they were flat wooden
Yeah.
spoon for the 3 years,
Yep.
and then they starting to figure out what they wanted to be like, and here they are now. So we're still crawling, even though everybody think that we were running because of the first season. And I think most of us have followed soccer for a very long time and other sports for a very long time, and the disappointment never stops.
Nope. Ups and downs. It's the life of a sports fan.
Yes. But with that say, we miss Charlie and Oscar, but at least you had two out of the four. And, Manchester United is not doing his things. Chelsea's at least did not lose, which is a good thing. But with that say,
Ouch.
we'll talk to you guys. Well, we'll talk to you all in our socials. We might do a Vancouver City watch along. We'll see how things works out. But with that say, go City and stay out of trouble.